Hello and welcome to another episode of Content Converse. I am Pack, and today is a very special episode because I am joined not by only one person, but by two. I am joined by both Glazed and Twist. As you can see, they are not in a call. I'm not in a call. This is actually, I'm recording this like on my own. And that is because both of them have requested for it to be a text-based interview, and because, you know, privacy. To respect their privacy and them, of course, I said, of course, it was okay to do a text-based interview. So I decided to do like a text-to-speech AI thing. It's a little wonky, but it gets the job done. I'll also have the actual text itself on screen, so you can read it yourself as it's speaking. I'll also maybe have some images or stuff to help, and I can't really show the game in the background like I did with OS Sloth because that would get me banned on YouTube. I will be saying the questions, and then the AI will basically be responding with what they said. So let's get it. Alright, so since there's two people, I'm gonna just go back and forth here because sometimes questions variate or something like that. We'll start with Glazed. Can you tell me a little about yourself?
Well, I like to draw a lot. I make drawings of asses, tits, dicks, and general lewd stuff. Occasionally I do animations or comics. And I want to fuck Undertale characters and Spider-Gwen way too much. I hope I can say all that on here.
Alright, and what about Twist? Can you tell me a little about yourself as well?
Hiya, I'm Twisty, she, her, also known as Mum Dog, Pudding Sweet, Twisted. I am currently a video game developer, furry artist, and musician. I come from the United Kingdom.
Nice. And Glazed, how'd you end up getting that name?
I was originally called Just a Dude with a Pencil on my old YouTube channel, where I posted speed paints of my art and on rare occasions animations. The name Glazed came when I wanted something that looked better than Jad for a tagline, or to have a name that wasn't 5 syllables too many. And I remember seeing Wooden Toaster, an old brony artist, also called himself Glaze, and I thought that was a great name, that someday I'd love to have a name similar to that. At the time I meant to just inspiration from that, but I guess I ended up just taking the name. But he doesn't do much these days, so I think it should be fine.
And Twist, how did you end up getting the full name Twist Comet?
My account Twist Qmet was based on a joke from my other account. Prior to this I had Twist Comet, and now privatized for personal reasons, based on my main OC's name, Twisted Comet. The "come" is literally just a cum joke, which makes me laugh. Pudding Sweet is my second OC, who is a horny cat. She owns a bakery and makes goods, which gave me the name Pudding's Bakery for my account name. Twist's name came from help with a name generator, and Pudding Sweet came along because pudding is sweet.
This is a question specifically for Glazed here, but donuts seem to be a big part of your like online presence in general. Like, what's any particular reason for that?
Well, there's a few reasons. I do enjoy myself a good donut being one, but the main one being, if you don't know, there's a fetish in the art porn world of people with a giant fat anus, which looks similar to a donut. Since I'm an ass person and have this fetish, I thought I'd use that as my image. Also, the whole glazed thing fit very well with it, like a cum glazed donut. I am tempted to make an Anthro Donut Girl OC, but that's yet to be made. For now, I'm just a regular donut sitting at a bakery.
Alright, and we'll start with Twist for this one. How'd you start doing art/game development?
Art and game development were things I've wanted to do for a while, around about 12 years I think. However, I only started art midway through 2020 because I thought, fuck it, why don't I just become an artist? So I did. At the time I was in college studying IT, which allowed me to go on a university course for game development in 2021. I wanted to do these things, and I'm happy to say that I'm making great progress in both.
That's cool. What about you, Glazed? How'd you start doing just art?
When I was a kid, I had a lot of notebooks that I would doodle comics or weird stick figures onto when my parents took me out or when I was just feeling creative. This was before I discovered the wonders of the internet. I probably have hundreds of notebooks in my old closet of drawings I made from my kid years to my teens. After I discovered the internet, I think at the age of 7, I'd see cartoons made by people on there and wanted to make shit just like that, and I wanted to inspire people the same way I was with my art. It's one of the reasons I made my art public. Every time somebody says they started a drawing because they want to be like me, or made fan art based off my characters, it makes my whole damned week. I also had one of those boards you can draw on with a magnet pencil thing, then you'd pull a lever erase it. I forget what they're called, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I drew on that when I ran out of paper, or didn't feel like using MS Paint.
Twist, do you have any inspirations that really inspired you to do what you do?
Honestly, seeing my friends being able to draw and being impressed by art in general inspired me to become an artist in the first place. I wanted to also make the cool stuff lol. When I was young, I played a lot of fun DS and Wii games and thought they were magic. But when I learned that people were behind making games, that inspired the youthful me to go down this route. Games are fun, and I love seeing people have fun. If I can make people have fun, then that makes me incredibly happy.
What about you, Glazed? What about do you have any inspirations?
Oh, plenty. Like I said, a lot of cartoons and early internet inspired me, especially, off the top of my head, a lot of people on stickpage.com. 2010s Minecraft music videos like what Yogscast did, Gonzosm, Under, Her, Tale, How It Should Have Ended, Forest Fire 101, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Sam Green, old college humor cartoons, Super Mario bloopers and old Mario parody animations in general, countless YDPs. But one I always point to as my biggest inspiration is Ed Gould. Without him I don't know where I'd be. His series Eddsworld showed me what one kid could do with what little he's given, and enough love for what he's doing. I still really look up to him. Even in my art, especially older art, you can see a huge inspiration from his art style. The ears and rounded chin or the simpler hairstyles. I remember signing up to work on the fan movie project because my style was similar enough.
Nice, yeah, those are definitely some good inspirations right there, especially Ed's World. I love that show. I love that as well. What about? I'll stick with you, Glazed here. Gonna switch it up every once in a while. What about NSFW art? What made you start that?
That's when things get interesting. I used to think that porn artists were very bad people basically. Back in middle school, I think? It might have been later. I remember seeing an interview on TV with an actress who was in some big boob bikini burger girl commercial, and she said she had fun making it because everyone was really nice and fun to work with. That's when I started thinking maybe working in pornography isn't as black and white as I thought. Perhaps it's just another form of art no different from any others. Years later I saw some YouTube videos on Shadman's channel. I was shocked to see he was on YouTube and had to check it out, where he talked about being a porn artist and the weird world it can be. Now say what you want about the guy, but his words on there did strike with me at a time when I was kind of not interested in art as much as I had used to be. Regular SFW art was boring basically, and I had a lot of creative block. I don't think I'd drawn for a year by that point. But I was curious and some time later drew a comic of breast expansion, and I was so fucking happy drawing that. Not just horny, but I felt that spark again. The one where I realized with art I can make whatever the hell my mind wanted. I felt a huge load dumped off of me, and since then I haven't had a real creative block for years. It's a gift and I'm so glad I took it. So every time I see somebody say, "It's a shame you're a porn artist, you have so much talent," or "Porn artists are evil bastards," I'm reminded of that kid who hadn't seen that interview with the big booby girl yet.
Nice, nice. And then what about you, Twist? What made you start NSFW art and game development in that area?
When it comes to artwork, at this current point of time I do prefer making NSFW. I find it more entertaining to make that kind of stuff. Of course, time will change, and if I look back at this I might have a differing opinion. For NSFW game development, it's almost an extension of how I feel about art. One key difference is that I do just like making fun games in general, but if I were given a choice in drawing for art, I would definitely gravitate to NSFW as I would have a better time art-wise. In terms of making Fuzzboobs, that just kinda happened. I wanted to make a game, and that was an opportunity.
And then specifically a question for Glazed here. What's your favorite / least favorite part of art?
I like that I can make whatever fetish I want. One of my reasons for doing porn is just to make art that doesn't exist, one being short stack midna with a donut asshole. We don't have enough of that, nearly enough of that. But in terms of actually making art, I like when I can blaze through some smaller project and zoom out to see it all finished. And when it doesn't look like shit, that's a bonus. And least favorite part is making a huge piece with lots of characters with detailed bodies and many parts connecting or grabbing with fingers and so much different angles of shading and many fucking colors and all that. My right hand tingles in pain at the thought of making a big piece. And when I post it all it gets as 30 likes or something and I just look at that number with a devilish grin and twitching eyes LMAO. But at the end of the day I did what I wanted, and that usually keeps me from being pissed.
Sticking with Glazed here, I gotta ask about Fuzzboobs. It's, the big game. Where did the idea from the game come, where did the idea come from originally?
Well, there's a few reasons. One night I had a dream of looking at a computer monitor in an office. I looked to my right and opened a curtain and shined my flashlight down a dark FNAF2 style hallway, only to see Chica's cupcake down there. I closed the curtain and went back to my monitor. I abruptly woke up and like a zombie droned out of bed and over to my desk and started doodling the office in my dream lol. Since then I really wanted to make a FNAF game. This dream came a little before I was a porn artist and got experience in the industry of professionally making art. So I had the game's ideas shift and warp over time. I had a robot furry cast ready, lore, building design, game mechanics, all of that ready. But I hit a hard wall when I got to coding. Turns out I'm a complete caveman in the world of coding. I can barely mod Minecraft for fuck's sake. And at the time there were no tutorials for making FNAF games. The dream kinda went on the back burner while I focused on Glazed stuff. Years later I met somebody who said he could code, and we started shifting ideas back and forth on a porn FNAF game that I had the idea of calling Fuzzboobs. He left the project around the time security breach was announced, but I met Twist right after and she said she wanted to help. I dug up year-old art and she helped me make it in a few months lol.
And Twist, when and how did you team up with Glazed to make this game?
I was messaging Proteins, person from Discord, and they mentioned that an artist was making a FNAF game. At the time, I was curious, so I asked if I could get in contact with Glazed. We started messaging on the 5th of February, 2022. I saw the state of the game and knew that, no offense Glazed, they were inexperienced at making games. So as one would, I said, hey, let me become the sole coder of this game and trust me, I make games. Something along those lines, at least. I got Glazed to resize his assets to not be Ultra 16K artworks at weird resolutions, to separate all the office sprites. We both have agreed that the game would have been more like a PowerPoint presentation if I hadn't stepped in.
Sticking with Twist here, were there any major changes you made during the development of the game?
Fuzzboobs was a slut who slept with many game engines lol. Glazed wanted it to be made in ClickTeam Fusion, the engine FNAF used. However, I wasn't paying $100 for it. I suggested we'd use Monogame, which is a game framework built upon Microsoft's discontinued XNA. And I realized shortly that this would be a lot harder if I continued going down this route. Godot is good but was something that I wasn't too sure about using. Finally, it settled on Unity as there is plentiful of resources on documentation and how to do specific things. I became proficient in it and game progression came along pretty nicely. The major change that I made was when I realized I had completely and utterly fucked it up. I made the whole game inside of Unity canvases. They are good for displaying images or UI. They also update every element inside of it up to 7 times when anything is moved. This had a major hit of performance and I knew that this wasn't the way to go. I wasn't going to release a game that most people can't play. So, I bit the bullet and restarted. More than half the game was restarted, but it did allow me to develop a new framework for the game which is better. As the game is still in development, a behind-the-scenes change was made recently which is just as big. Remaking the code of the game. The current code is good, but it wasn't designed to be added upon. Starting again would be easier than modifying the current framework.
And Glaze, were there any other major changes you made during development?
Yes, a few. One being the girls had a lot more voice lines and bits of dialogue, most of which were cut except for a quarter of Foxy's lines. And of course the phone guy had like 50 rewrites before we finally settled on one that was funny but informative to new people and FNAF vets. Another being a whole game mechanic. We were going to make the kitchen pitch black dark. The only way you knew Chica or Freddy were in there being noises they'd make. I had Freddy bumping her knee and going, "Aw fuck my knee." Or this one bit where Chica would trip over something and the sounds of pots and pans slamming all over and her going, "Woohhhh, oof," would play. Twist and I thought this would be a little hard for people to understand or find all that fun, and decided to make the kitchen visible. So I had to make that entire kitchen 11 days before the game was supposed to come out.
What was or is the most fun part of development for both of you?
I'd say perhaps the game testing. I hear this is considered the boring part of game development, but I had a shit-eating grin on my face every time I play-tested Fuzzboobs. The idea my art was moving and was doing shit and was thinking on its own was amazing, and that my dream was coming true at last blew my fucking mind. I'm excited to finally play-test the new update when that's ready, especially since I know you all want to play it.
The fun part about development is making a breakthrough. After spending a lot of time on one thing and finally seeing it working. I remember when I first worked on Bonnie's AI. It took a while, but when I got it working, wow, Glazed, and I felt a sense of euphoria like none other. I also particularly enjoy seeing how others react in response of the game. I find it fun to read and see how they respond, which makes me happy. Another thing that I found fun was seeing how Glazed responded to every little breakthrough I had made with the game, and seeing his joy as the game he's wanted to make is becoming reality.
And what was or is the hardest part of development for both of you?
Speaking for myself, making the assets. Being basically the lone artist, I had to draw for this game more times than any other project I had worked on before. It took like a month to draw a fully finished character. Sletching their poses, their alts, lighting that matched their surroundings. Then there's animating them, which is just a pain in the ass. Saving and sorting out all the art is a bit tedious, but not that bad in comparison.
The hardest part of development is when there are either internal conflicts and actually planning how to set things up. The initial stage of planning takes a lot of effort as you need to find the best and efficient way to juggle. For example, thinking about the rune system for having animatronics move, interact, player being able to change the rooms, etc. It is hard to explain because there is a lot I had to plan for and having to begin again. About the internal conflicts, it's natural for creators to have disagreements for what should go in the game or not, and it can be hard to swallow your pride or try find middle ground, or to need to convince why X thing is a good idea. But in the end, it's about teamwork and doing everything just fine.
Were either of you really expecting any of the popularity you got from this game?
Not at all. When making this game, it was supposed to be a community game that was made for fun. At best twist, and I thought it would get about 600 views in its lifetime. We beat 600 in the first 30 minutes after posting it. I remember talking to everybody who was playing the game opening day, and Twist would send screenshots to me of the game's rapidly rising number, and we'd thank everyone for getting us to 1,000 views, then 5,000, then 10,000. Eventually we just decided to let it settle until it reached 100K, and we posted the thank you image. I'm scared to look at the count now after last I checked. I think it was at 1.2 million or something. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm very grateful for it and I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
No, I was making he game under the assumption of, I hope the 300 viewers who play enjoy. Glazed has a few thousand followers, so I assumed a few hundred would be interested. As of writing my part of the interview, the game has 1.4 million views. 1.4 million. I never thought this could get as popular as it did. I'm glad it did. It makes me happy knowing there is a community that I helped grow. It's just really crazy to me.
And I gotta ask both of you, is there any sort of special little sneak peek that the viewers can get for watching the interview?
Yeah, I have some cutouts of the new characters being added to the game. Everyone's been guessing who they all may be, so I hope this gives a better idea of what to expect for now. Hope to see you when the new content drops.
Alright, thank you guys so much for joining me. Do you guys have a final word for the people out there?
Thank you for all the support. I love all of you, even the weirdos. I hope to continue making you all question your sexuality with my art. I certainly love how it looks so far, and so does Twist. I thank her especially. Without her titanic generosity, I'd still be trying to learn to code and make this fucking game happen. Do what you can with what you have, especially if you love doing it. You have a voice. Try to use it as much as you can. Follow your dreams. Don't do drugs, and remember to drink plenty of water.
Thank you for the interview, and I'd like to thank everyone for the community. I'm happy to see you guys smile.
Alright, where can people find you to like either like see the work that you've done or maybe want to talk to you or something? Where can they find you?
I have a Newgrounds where I post my art in good quality. I have a Twitter where I post my art a little earlier. I have a Patreon if you want to support me or ask for a commission. And I have a Discord server if you want to chat with the community and talk about porn or other shit. I try to be on there as often as I can.
Thank you for joining me. It means a lot.
Thanks for having me on here. It's been a pleasure. I hope I wasn't too chatty, haha.
And I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to check out Fuzzboobs. It's a really good game, actually. But I will see you guys later. Take care.
Fuzzboobs Security Breach is coming out 3085. Be ready. I am going through a portal to Glazed Hell. I'm falling through it. Bye ye.